There are some experiences that are so powerful they can totally change how you see the world. That feeling of awe, of wonder, a sudden shift in your whole perspective. But one of the most profound and definitely most exclusive of these experiences happens way, way above us, in the complete silence of space.
Picture this. It's 1968. The Apollo 8 mission is orbiting the moon, and for the very first time, human eyes see this, Earthrise, a breathtaking, fragile blue marble just hanging there over the gray, dead landscape of the moon. Astronaut Bill Anders snags a camera, and what he said? Man, it just perfectly captures a feeling that would resonate for decades, a deep, totally unexpected connection to home.
So what is this feeling? It's so much more than just a pretty picture. It's a deep, cognitive shift that astronauts from all over the world have reported. So let's really get into what makes this such a life-changing experience, the feeling of seeing our own planet from the outside. All right, first up, a view from above. To really get this feeling, you have to understand the perspective. This isn't like looking at a map or spinning a globe in your classroom, no. This is seeing our world as one living, breathing thing. For the lucky few who've seen it with their own eyes, it's not just a visual, it's a fundamental change in their consciousness. It's like it completely rewires how they understand their place in the universe and their connection to literally everyone else back on that tiny blue dot. So yeah, this incredible phenomenon, it actually has a name that I think perfectly captures what it's all about. It's called the overview effect, and it gives us a framework for understanding what's really going on up there. Okay, so here's the official textbook definition. Scientists call it a state of awe mixed with self-transcendence. And what that really means is that feeling when all your personal worries, all your little problems, just seem to shrink in the face of something so massive and meaningful. And it's all kicked off by that one unique visual, seeing our entire world in a single glance. Now, let's break that down, because this is where it gets really interesting. First, there's awe. Not just because it's huge, but because the idea of it is huge. Then comes this wave of emotion, a new, powerful sense of connection to all of humanity. And this feeling of unity with the planet itself, seeing it not as a bunch of countries with borders, but as one single shared home. But look, a scientific definition is one thing. To really get it, you have to hear how Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell put it. An explosion of awareness, an epiphany. I mean, that raw, emotional language gets us so much closer to what it must actually feel like. It's not just a thought, it's a revelation. And you know what often triggers this whole experience? It's a single detail. One of the most common things astronauts mention is seeing Earth's atmosphere for what it is, this impossibly thin, fragile blue line. That little sliver is all that separates all of us from the lethal emptiness of space. It really hits you just how precious and how delicate our existence really is. And by the way, the guy we have to thank for giving this feeling a name is author Frank White. Back in the 80s, he interviewed a ton of astronauts, put all their stories together, and he's the one who coined the term the overview effect, finally giving us a way to talk about it. So, next section, a universal phenomenon. Now, it sounds pretty straightforward, right? You go to space, you see the Earth, you have this epiphany. But is it really that simple? Is this just a natural reaction everyone would have? Well, that's actually up for debate. So on one side, you've got Frank White's theory, which says the effect is this natural, almost guaranteed thing that happens when a human brain sees space. But then you've got this critique from science historian Jordan Bim. He argues that it's also a cultural object, that it's shaped by the stories we tell, the whole Cold War vibe it came from, and even astronaut culture itself. He even suggests it could be a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy for astronauts who go up there expecting to feel it. And he warns that thinking of it as a reason we must explore space can sound a lot like old colonial ideas, a mindset he calls the overlord effect. All right, next up, impact back on Earth. Because no matter where you stand on that debate, one thing is for sure, this feeling has had a huge, very real impact right here on the ground. And what's just wild is that people saw this coming. Get this, 20 years before that famous Earthrise photo was ever taken, astronomer Fred Hoyle predicted that the moment we saw our planet from the outside, it would unleash an idea more powerful than almost anything in history. And he was so right. And that powerful idea absolutely exploded with images like the blue marble from the Apollo 17 mission. This single picture became an icon for a generation. It gave all of humanity a shared symbol of our home, and it helped light a fire under the modern environmental movement, even inspiring the very first Earth Day back in 1970.
But here's the thing. The emotion that comes with this view isn't always simple, happy awe. For some people, that overwhelming beauty comes with a deep, profound sadness.
Just listen to what William Shatner said after his trip to space. You'd think it would be a huge celebration, right? Instead, he was just hit with this unbelievable grief. He talked about the contrast between the warmth of Earth and the vicious, deadly cold of space, and said his trip felt like a funeral for our planet. It just goes to show you the incredible emotional range this effect can have.
So what's the lasting impact when these astronauts come back home? Well, a 2018 survey found that the changes are overwhelmingly humanistic. They reported a major shift in how they see the Earth as this beautiful, fragile home. And that feeling directly correlated with them getting involved in environmental causes. But here's the really interesting part. It caused little to no change in their spiritual or religious beliefs. The transformation wasn't about God. It was about us. It was about responsibility.
Okay, our final section, an experience for everyone? All of this leads to a really big question. If this experience is so transformative, can we and should we try to share it with everyone?
Well, the commercial spaceflight industry is definitely betting on yes. Companies like Virgin Galactic are pretty open about it. They say that giving more people the chance to experience the overview effect is a huge reason they're in business. The hope is it could fundamentally change how we all think about our planet.
But there's a pretty big catch, right? Launching a ton of rockets isn't exactly great for the environment. So what's the alternative? Well, projects like SpaceBuzz are trying to solve that problem by using virtual reality to simulate the experience, especially for kids, bringing that powerful perspective down to Earth without all the pollution.
And the creativity here is just amazing. People are using VR headsets with actual 360-degree footage from space. They're using water-filled flotation tanks to simulate zero gravity. There are even giant 7-meter 3D models of the Earth that people can tour. All of these are ways to try and give us a taste of that shift in perspective, to spark that feeling of connection without ever leaving the ground.
And that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? The whole promise of the overview effect is that a change in perspective can create a change in action. So I guess the ultimate question is this: if we could all see our world the way the astronauts do, as one beautiful, fragile home that we all share, would we finally learn how to take care of it together?